Hey, welcome everyone. This is Mike from ZoZoStockWatch.com, and this is your Let's Get Ready for the week ahead, July 16th through July 20th. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the markets and some of the action. That's what we'll do on this video. We'll also look at some of the news that came out Friday. We'll go through that briefly, courtesy of the Trade Exchange. We'll look at some of the best and worst stocks that passed this week, and we'll go through some of the news on some of those stocks. We'll talk about the markets and see what's coming up for the week ahead as far as earnings and also news events that may move the markets and whatnot. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So with everything that was on the plate for the market, it seems like equities is still the place to be. But bears continue to wait for that collapse. The sectors that were leading were the biotechs and the discretionaries were leading the ways. The Nasdaq made a new high, but the same few names like the Amazons and whatnot, very narrow for the Nasdaq, but making new highs in the Nasdaq. Facebook moving up. Netflix had a pullback on that name. Apple holding up okay. So we'll go through some of those names also. The SPY was held back by the XLF. So the banks did not really participate after their earnings came out on Friday. We'll take a little bit of a look at some of the bank stocks also. So let's take a look and we'll start with the SPY for the week. The SPY was up 1.5% for the week. The QQQ had a good week. They were up about 2.28% for the Qs, the Nasdaq, and like I said, the Nasdaq making new all-time highs. IWM was down a little bit on the IWM. The IBB very strong this week, almost up 2% on the large cap biotechs, XBI. The mid-cap biotechs up a little bit also this week. The diamonds, the Dow Jones 30, the DIA was up 2.29%. The Dow Jones itself, the Dow Jones 30, up 2.30%, and getting back over that 25,000 level on the Dow Jones. The XLF for the week we were up 1.16%, but overall, still under the 50 SMA on the banks. They had popped up on Friday, as you can see here on this candle, and pulled back a little bit on the bank. So they were a little bit quiet. I think folks were looking for a little bit more of a move in the banks, but just did not happen. The transports themselves still holding. This 200 SMA on the daily chart for the transports, trying to get back above the 100 SMA here on the daily chart. On the weekly, trying to get back above the 10 SMA for the transports. Oil had a hit this week. Oil came down this week, down 3.28% for the USO. So oil making a move down. XOIL, the light sweet crude, WTI oil. That came down almost 4% for the week. If we look at it on the daily chart, we're still holding above the 50 SMA on the daily chart for oil and still holding above this $70 a barrel level. We never could get above the $75 barrel, so we're kind of in that range now. If we look at it as the USO, so here's that resistance a little bit above. The high was 15.25 for the USO recently. We're still below that level, and we are still holding above the 50 SMA, but still below the 10 SMA here on ETF oil for US. The OIH, the Service Sector Index, we'll look at some names in there: Schlumberger, Halliburton. Also, we'll take a look at RIG. RIG holding up the best out of the oil services sector there. So that's some of your oil stocks. Let's go ahead and take a look at Silver and gold not really participating this week. Gold pushing down to the 200 weekly moving average right here, the green line you see. We have a low here from back in July of 117.40, so we're just back down near those recent weekly lows, and we're at 117.61 for gold. Silver, on the other hand, is below the 200 SMA and not seeing a real big support area here for silver. So silver moving down also for this week. So not too much going on there in gold and silver. Like we said, the NASDAQ making new all-time highs, and some of the names in the NASDAQ that were moving us up. Amazon, right? Price targets of over 2,000 now for Amazon being put out. I believe it was Thursday or Friday. So that stock moving up. Apple, these are weekly charts you're looking at. Apple has that 194 coming up there, which was a recent high, 194.20, possible break that could do. Let's see. Tesla had a 3% up week, hanging around the 10 SMA on the weekly chart here on Tesla. Netflix had a little bit of a pullback this week as it came up to all-time highs. All-time highs on Netflix, 423.21. So we came up to that this week at 419.77, and then we got a little bit of a pullback, but still holding up nicely over the 10 SMA. As far as looking at it on the daily chart now on Netflix, we are below the 20 SMA on the daily chart for Netflix. Google had a good week. Google breaking out to new all-time highs here on Google. So nice push up on Google, and Facebook also pushing up to new all-time highs this week. Here's the weekly that you're looking at now, and then here's Facebook after breaking up above that $200 level. Nice breakout and push up, and riding the 5 EMA now on Facebook on the daily chart. So let's go ahead and take a look at the SMH right now. This is a 30-minute chart you're looking at, 65 moving average, which is equal to the 5 moving average on the daily chart. Currently, the SMH is below that, and just kind of consolidating here. We had a push down to about that 104 area, a nice bounce, about of $1 of a bounce, and now we pulled back to about the midpoint of that area between 105.50 and 104 area. So that's the 30-minute of the SMH. So kind of pausing here. If we look at it on the daily chart for the SMH, we're below the 50 SMA, but holding up above the 10 SMH. If we look at it on the weekly chart, you see on the weekly chart we're having trouble getting back above at the moment, back above the 10 SMA on the weekly chart for the SMH. Let's look at NVIDIA. NVIDIA trying to get back above the 10 SMH on the weekly chart here. Intel has been a little bit soft. We pulled back down to the 34 moving average on the weekly chart, bouncing off that, but we are still below the 20 SMA and still below the 10. If we look at it on the daily chart, we are holding up on Intel, and the reason I go into Intel is it's the largest component of the SMH. We are trying to get and hold above the 100 SMA, but still below this blue line you see here, which is the 50 SMA on Intel. Sorry about that. Let's look at the XLF, the bank stocks. We'll start with the 30-minute chart. As you can see, the XLF is below the 5 moving average on the 30-minute chart. That equals to the 65 moving average, and we are still below that. We came all the way down, this little flash down, push down here to 2670, and we popped up to about 2720. So we're about the middle of the range on the 30-minute chart for the XLF. Let's look at it on the daily chart. We're still below the 200 SMA, still below the 50 SMA, trying to hold above the 10 SMA on the XLF for the daily. On the weekly, still below the 10 10 SMA on the weekly chart for the XLF. And we're going to need these banks to participate to keep the SPY pushing up. Speaking of the SPY, like we said, we came up to this 2800 on the SPY, which in the cash, that's the 2800 level on the SPX. So we're going to need the banks to participate. And with the pullback in oils, though, considering you think that the SPY would have moved down this week, but held up pretty well. This 270 and 268.50 area, that's around the 34 SMA on the weekly chart. So watch that area, and we are holding above the 10 SMA on the weekly SPY, which is at 274.63. So some areas to watch in case we do pull back on the SPY this week coming up. Putin and Trump are meeting on Monday, so we'll probably be getting some media coverage of that, I would imagine. And still this week, with all the talk of the tariff talk and whatnot, equities held up pretty well, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video. And so we'll see what we're going to have in store for us coming up for the week ahead. Let's take a look at the trade exchange, the economic calendar for the 16th through the 20th. For Monday, retail sales coming out at 8:30. 10 o'clock business inventories, a little splattering of some Fed speak on Tuesday and Wednesday this week. We also have some housing numbers coming out on Tuesday. Nothing standout-ish as far as economic, pretty straightforward. The beige book coming out on Wednesday at 2 o'clock, leading indicators at 10 o'clock on Thursday, 1 o'clock, the Baker Hughes rig count for Friday the 20th. We do have some earnings coming out for the week ahead. Very big earnings week coming up this week. Let's look at this courtesy of Earnings Whisper. So after the close on Monday, a big name coming out is Netflix. So be aware of that. We do have Bank America coming out in the morning before the open. JB Hunt also. Tuesday, Goldman Sachs reports. Johnson & Johnson reports. Some other names that are reporting after the close. Railroad, CSX, United Airlines, Abbott Labs before the bell on Wednesday, American Express, IBM, United Rentals, eBay, Canadian Pacific, another railroad that will be reporting earnings after the bell on Wednesday. Thursday before the open, Domino's Pizza, KeyBank, BB&T Bank. After the close, Microsoft, Intuit Surgical, Skechers, E-Trade reporting after the close on Thursday. Capital One, Friday before the open. GE, Cliffs, Honeywell, Schlumberger, Baker Hughes. So Regions Bank will be reporting also before the open on Friday. So that's some of your names that have earnings for the week ahead, courtesy of Earnings Whisper. So let's look at some of the earnings, the banks that reported Friday. They came out Friday. Citigroup, we see this pop. This is a 5-minute pre-post market chart you're looking at. So in the pre-market, they popped Citigroup up, and then after that, it was pretty much selling off for the rest of the day on Citigroup. JP Morgan, same thing. They popped it when the earnings first came out, and then they drove it down. Now, JP Morgan did recover a little bit better than Citigroup. Wells Fargo also reported earnings on Friday. They moved that one up, and then they sold it off. A nice bounce back in Wells Fargo. JP Morgan, like I mentioned, and then PNC also gapped up in the morning, and then the bounce. Citi bounced the least out of the banks. All right, so Citi got that big pop up, then drove it down, and then kind of just chopped sideways for the rest of the day on Citi after they released their earnings on Friday before the bell. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the best stocks and worst stocks for the week that came out, and we'll do that off of a daily chart. First one up was best stocks would be FAST, F-A-S-T. Stock was up. Actually, we'll look at them on a weekly chart. I think it makes it a little more clearer for you. So FAST had a big move up after their earnings report came out. Nice move up. Stock was up 15% for the week, so that might be one I'll be watching. RHT Red Hat had a good week, up 8% for the week. SAVE, an airline, up 9% for the week. MU, nice comeback up by MU, up 6% for the week. Amazon having a nice week, up 6% on Amazon, pushing the NASDAQ to all-time highs. LMT, Lockheed Martin, analyst comments on this, I believe it was an upgrade, up 6% for the week. MBVX, biotechs were very strong this week. This MBVX up 60% for the week. This one got upfront $11 million upfront from Boehringer. So that's what moved MBVX. BNTC had an agreement with Axovant, and the stock was up 42% for the week. AXON is who they had the agreement with, but BNTC got a better showing for the week, and that stock up 42%, like I said, for the week. SCYX Phase 2 released, and they liked what they got for the Phase 2. Stock up 9% for the week. ZGNX, positive data on their Phase 3, 32% climber on that one. GLMD, overweight rating from Cantor, and that ignited this stock up 34% for the week. SIGA, the FDA gave them approval for TPOXX, smallpox treatment for SIGA. So if FDA approval for their drugs for smallpox, up 15% for the week. Some of your worst stocks for the week. AVGO, this stock dropping after they bought out CA. CA was up 20%, so CA up 20%, and AVGO down close to 18% or 18% for the week. Broadcom buying out CA software, so that one bought out. PAAS, this stock dropped 7% for the week. FCX stock dropped 4% for the week. GG down 5% for the week. RGLD, another gold name, down about 2% for the week. GPS, a retail stock, down 6% for the week. DDS also down 6% for the week. Cisco is getting Amazon. Amazon going after Cisco's networking, and so Cisco dropped. Actually, if you look at it on the daily chart, it was down 2% for the week, so it dropped down here to almost the 200 SMA on Cisco, so a little pullback there on that name. And then we had CTIC, Phase 3, did not meet the primary endpoint, so this stock dropped 21% for the week. IDRA, planned merger terminated with BCRX. IDRA dropped 28%. BCRX was actually up 4% for the week as they canceled that merger between the two. ARQL, they're doing an offering, stock down 18% on ARQL. RSLS, another offering here, stock down 29% for the week. MYOV, an offering there, stock down 14%. SLS, another offering, stock down 52% for the week on SLS. And EARS, also doing an offering, stock dropped 53% for the week. So that's some of your worst stocks for the week. So some of the news that came out Friday after the bell, this courtesy of the trade exchange, tradeexchange.com. If you want to check out their site, very good news service. CLRB announces a 1-for-10 reverse stock split. That'll be happening on Monday, CLRB. So here's some of your news that came out after the bell Friday from the trade exchange. CLRB announces 1-for-10 reverse stock split. SIGA, Food and Drug, approves their drug on SIGA. Pixy, PIXY, Billings grew 119%, so PIXY, news that came out after the bell on Friday. PZZA, a message from Papa John's CEO, Steve Rich. So they put out a message after that terrible comments by their chairman that left. SGMO announced the technology leadership changes on SGMO. ABIL announces receipt of delisting from the NASDAQ on ABIL. Mara Patent Group receives deficiency letter from the NASDAQ on Mara. MBIO doing a $75 million offer. Some biotech companies expected to price out IPOs this coming week. CNST, REPL, CRNX, ALLK, Ruby. So a few names there. Let's see. Like I said, that CLRB 1 for 10 split effective Monday. So that'll be trading that Monday. Top insider purchase that came out Friday after hours. We had IRET and STKX. The CFO purchased 18,000 of IRET and STKS. And then that's pretty much it. That's some of your news that came out courtesy of the trade exchange built for traders by traders. All right, so that's pretty much what you have to look forward to for the week ahead. It looks like it's going to be a very big earnings week, so keep track of all those earnings coming out. That's pretty much the big story. Also, Trump meeting with Putin on Monday. We'll see how the market reacts to that. As far as the tariffs go, we could have been hurt more than we were. Like I said, NASDAQ making new highs, SPY pushing higher. I guess I would like to see some consolidation now in the SPY to consolidate these gains from that 268.50 area up to this 280 area, maybe a few more days of sideways action, and then maybe the push up would be the healthiest thing. We'll see if that's going to happen. But overall, money still coming into equities, and plays are still out there. Now I'll be back with a stocks to watch video that'll be coming up later Sunday evening. This is your let's get ready for the week ahead, and I hope you're more ready for the week ahead than you were before. This is Mike from ZoZoStockWatch.com, and we'll see you on the next video.